So Ken, last time we talked, Cluster Store was a relatively new business for Xyratex. What's happened since?
Well, Rich, it's been a bit of a whirlwind year in 2012. We actually achieved, I think by any standards, a hell of a lot. And I think last time we were talking about some very big systems that we are working on architecting and planning to deploy. And yes, we finished up the year very successfully deploying those systems, fastest, biggest systems in the world. Again, they've actually are in production now. So that was a fantastic achievement. More importantly for us, it really proved out the architecture that we've been developing and really how we can leverage that core DNA of Xyratex, right? We've always been known for our enterprise class quality. And one of the things that we've been able to do, even with really large systems, is get them installed, get them up and running really quickly, time to money, kind of time to the application, right? And when you have really big compute systems relying on this storage I/O, that's really important. So we were really happy to be able to achieve that, really get stability at that kind of scale. And now what we've also been doing is really applying that to other vertical markets. So if you look at very big deployments in oil and gas, across academia and across research and indeed life sciences as well. So really we're getting more broader exposure on the products, large number of users, and the feedback has been really good. And again, it kind of goes back to that value proposition that we have, that really excellent performance. I think everyone recognizes that. I think that's a given. But it's really also about that TCO story, right? Power, packaging, cooling, the time to productivity, ease of use and management, which is an area that we significantly invested in, and that's really a big part of the value proposition of that engineered solution. One of the benefits that we really have as being part of I kind of look at us in many respects as being a startup, but within a larger company. And I think we have the benefits of both worlds in some respects. So we have the benefits of leveraging Xyratex's 30 years of development, R&D in storage technologies, right? Everything from disk drive test equipment, storage enclosures, all the way up across the cluster file systems, etc. And what we also then have within Cluster Store is we're a business unit within this larger organization, so we get the benefits of that, but we also get the benefits of a startup environment, right? Very strong team dynamic, very motivated, very driven, and really doing everything that we can to excel and meet our commitments to our customers. So you bring that all together, and then as you look at it, the value proposition of the product itself, ease of use, deployment, low TCO. Yeah, it's been a good year.
Okay, so when we talk about solutions like Cluster Store, it's usually targeted at pain points. What were you guys targeting when you looked at how to architect storage with Cluster Store? What are you trying to fix?
So really, when we looked at, there was a number of problems that we were trying to, as you say, pain points. I think that's a good way to describe it, because again, while Xyratex enterprise DNA, HPC does have some specific requirements, and there is a common thread there. So one of the things that we really looked at, if you kind of take it from the start, was really looking at the life cycle of a system in HPC, right? So right up from the buying cycle, the installation, etc. And I guess one of the easiest things to kind of look at was when we go to customers, one of the things that actually was explained to me was that they go and buy a very expensive HPC compute system. And in some cases, as you know, these systems are hundreds of millions of dollars. And in many cases, what they found then was the first time that the storage system was coming together wasn't in someone's factory, but was actually on the shop floor. And it would take months to get ready. If you look at the average life cycle of one of these hundreds of million dollars of compute system, it might only be 3 years. So if your storage system is sitting around, even if it's not optimized completely, for 3-4 months, how much does that cost you? 20-30% of your hundreds of million dollars investment? And even if it's only a $10 million system or a $5 million system or a $1 million system, you can't afford that kind of time delay. So we looked at that, we solved that problem in 2 ways. One, by taking what was discrete building blocks and bringing it together, spending significant amounts of resources, time, expertise, dollars, quite frankly, to get an integrated solution. Every layer of the stack, hardware, integrated, designed, optimized, tested, qualified to work together. And then what we also did is, it doesn't just come together for the first time on your factory floor. All that integration optimization is done through our qualification, but it's also done in our manufacturing process. So when that customer places the PO, the system rolls in, it will roll in, out of the rack, and be in and operational within hours, as opposed to having to wait days, weeks, or months. And not only that, because of, again, the reliability qualification testing that, quite frankly, we're known for, it won't just work reliably out of the box, it will work reliably throughout its life cycle.
So I was going to double click on that a little bit here. As you talked about getting traction in some of these new markets. What do you think about the big data opportunity? NPR, the word of the year was big data this year, right? And I just posted this book review about this book called The Human Face of Big Data, and they're saying big data will have more impact on society than the internet. That's the kind of perspective they're trying to put on this. Well, they're trying to sell books.
Yeah.
What do you think about that as an opportunity for Xyratex and ClusterStor?
It's an interesting question. So, in addition to having to take the core DNA from a HPC world, as I said, the scalability, performance, one of the key demands of big data, right, is really focused on business intelligence, business analytics. So really what you've got to look at for a big data market, big data opportunity, is really how you take the core capabilities that you've got from your HPC technology and integrate that with analytics technology. And quite frankly, that's where we see how you really unlock the opportunity and indeed value of big data.
So Ken, you mentioned that you think of ClusterStor kind of like a startup within Xyratex. How does ClusterStor compare to like the other startups we might see out there?
I know I said that, but I've never looked at it that way. So I guess if I look over the last 10, 15 years, obviously there's been a large number of successful startups. I'll say at one point, there was a common thread across a number of those startups. So if you think about the really successful ones, you think about the data domains, the tree powers, the compellence, equalogic. One core fundamental I think there was, not many people probably notice, is that the Xyratex was actually partnered with a lot of those actually all of those companies, providing with storage platform technology, which is really our core business within Xyratex. And if I look at myself as a kind of startup, well, that's exactly what I do, right? I leverage the core technologies within Xyratex and products and a lot of resources, etc. I guess the other thing that I have the additional benefit of leveraging, when you're part of the largest OEM supplier in the world, who's relationships with the household names of this industry, certainly it opens a lot of doors, right? No doubt about it. Relationships with the likes of Dell, HP, obviously we announced a relationship with Cray as well. That really enables you to get a lot of traction in the market and ramp a business pretty quickly.
Well, how does Lustra fit into that? Because you guys weren't based on Lustra for your enterprise offerings. How did you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we really looked at, as I said, we leveraged a lot of the core DNA, core capabilities, intellectual property, etc., that was already existing within Xyratex. But obviously, expertise in clustered file systems, etc. As you know, we acquired ClusterStor as a company back in 2010. The likes of Peter Bram and then subsequently Peter Projanic and others joined us. So adding that clustered file system capability was key to enable us to kind of create that overall integrated solution that we talked about. And really entering the HPC market, you looked at Lustre, which is obviously, if you think of HPC storage, you're going to think really of Lustre, right? Number one scalable file system in the world, open source. So one of the things we definitely recognize, and it was a learning curve for us, as I think we talked about before, is really to understand how to operate in an open source community. Key to that is engagement with community entities such as OpenSFS. So I think many of your viewers are probably aware that we're a board member of OpenSFS. I think OpenSFS has made a lot of traction. It really helped when there was uncertainty around Lustre. OpenSFS and indeed EOFS in Europe really moved to stabilize the community with support from companies such as Xyratex, Intel and other partners.